get on here. Streaming live on YouTube. Yeah.
Let's see. It's working. It's working. We're on.
It's working.
It's working.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Kamari Ellis. You are tuned into The Money Hour. The Money Hour is a show we do every week on Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. to highlight business owners, to talk about money, stocks, taxes, basically to figure out how to increase your levels of wealth for you, your family, and your community. Today, we are blessed with a special guest, Mr. Dave Anderson, the business bully. He's got some things to talk about, got some new developments, but we're going to talk about depression, and especially how depression affects many of us in the small business and entrepreneurship community. So get your notes. We're going to have a good time, and we are going to break this all down so we can figure out a way to break through depression, loneliness, and despair to create successful and thriving and prosperous businesses. How you doing, Dave?
Man, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting the call and for also dealing with the technical issues.
Hey, it's what we do, man. It's what we do.
All right, Dave. Well, you know what? I didn't actually do you justice on that intro. So Dave is actually a well-accomplished man, right? I see you smiling over there. He's like, he just skipped over my whole career. Dave's a very, very well-accomplished man. He's been a performer all his life, been in radio for many, many years, has had the opportunity and privilege to work with Wendy Williams, work with Rickey Smiley, have helped to actually develop Rickey Smiley into a tech brand as well, not just radio. And now he is a best-selling author. I want to say 2-time best-selling author. Is that correct, Dave? Oh, 5 time
15.
best-selling.
15.
Oh,
15.
Okay.
But it's okay.
We flexing. All right.
Anyway,
excuse my faux pas and missing all of the greatness of Mr. Dave Anderson, the business.
We good.
We're going to have a good time. If you guys can't tell, me and Dave are actually friends. So we bust each other chops from time to time. But like I said, this is the Money Hour. We do it every week. We usually do it on Facebook Live. This week we are on YouTube. So we just want to continue to rock and have a good time. So Dave, you are a very open and transparent kind of guy.
Yep.
You have shared stories about some of the struggles and triumphs you've gone through. And I want to talk to you because you are that transparent. And many of us in the small business and entrepreneurship community are struggling. And many of us don't want to admit it. So can you share with us how you fought through your depression?
Wow. Pick a time. I think depression is one of those things that people don't really take the time to appreciate or understand. It just, to some people, it sounds a bit like a cop-out. It sounds like, something that weak people have, and it's not the case. You got to really understand what depression is. And when you break that down, it's, even if you look at the dictionary says it's a long and severe recession in an economy or market, but to the entrepreneur, it's more than that, because it's that and it's feelings of severe despondency and dejection. It's the crippling effect of not being able to function, even with things that you absolutely love to do. And there are varying degrees of depression. And when you are an entrepreneur, there's no net. Like every day you're flying without a net. You're walking that tightrope without anything to catch you. And when you're dealing with, like, most entrepreneurs that I know, excuse me, are entrepreneurs who don't have a history of entrepreneurship in their family. And so when you're trying to explain what you have in your head and in your heart and your passions, your immediate surroundings, your immediate circle is like, huh? What? Why don't you just get a good job?
Right.
And that in and of itself is crazy, because you expect mama and, cousin Winky and Uncle Skip and, whomever else in your family to support you, and they don't. Another part of it is that most entrepreneurs, if we're going to be frank and honest, are crippled by the opinions of the irrelevant.
Break that down.
All right. So a lot of people, like, even clients that come to me or potential clients that come to me when they get on a discovery call with me or my team, they'll say, oh, well, I want to do more with social media, but I'm so scared to go live, good in front of a camera. No, what it really is that you are worried about the opinions of people who don't matter. If they're not going to buy your stuff, if they're not going to feed you, if they're not sleeping with you, if they're not clothing you, if they're not providing you any type of support, their opinions are irrelevant. But we hold ourselves to the standards of people who are not directly involved in our lives. And it cripples us from being our best selves as entrepreneurs. And so we show up as the leaders that we are, but we could be better leaders if we focused on the opinion that matters. And the opinion that matters is the man or the woman in the mirror and the market.
Well, I'm gonna push back on that. I'm gonna push back on that, right? So I've always had a love for radio, right? That's how I got into this whole media thing. Interns, we've done radio together a couple times. Yep. I love the microphone. I hate video, right? We're doing video right now, though, right?
Yep.
And part of that I feel is also generational. And maybe you make a point, right? Maybe the generational thing is about other people's perception of you. But I would much rather do radio than necessarily do video. But it makes sense to do video in this day and age. So, I mean, I get the push, but what about for people who really aren't ready for video and ready for social?
There's no such thing. Here's the thing. There were people, my great uncle Sam was born in 1896. He died in 1996. They started making push button phones. He eventually had to get a push button phone. It took him till 1992 to do so, but he got himself a push button phone because times can and do change. My Uncle Luther, my grandfather's brother, he was an elevator operator downtown Philadelphia. Guess what? We don't use elevator operators anymore. Times change. If you are in business, you don't get the luxury of saying, I'm not a video person. That's how your people, I go wherever the people are, whether I like it or not, because I got to make this money. If there's an audience member, if there's somebody I can reach, if there's a potential client on the other side of the screen who's not heard of me, and I'm able to reach them just by getting out of my own way and diminishing my own ego, yeah. And all these old people who aren't ready for video magically have a smartphone in their pocket. So I call BS.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, let's talk about this. Well, I want you to further go deeper into depression now.
Okay. There is nothing in the world worse than feeling like you're the only person that understands and you're on an island by yourself. You get tired of trying to fit in or diminish your gifts. And a lot of us do that. We diminish our gifts. We diminish our particular level of genius in order to make the people around us more comfortable or to be more accepted. I had a former coworker whose podcast I did, and she said, you know what your problem is? I said, no, what's my problem? She was like, you don't play well with others. I said, I sure don't.
You don't?
Because no, I don't. And I don't mind that. See, but the difference between me and most people is I recognize that about myself because I don't have this thing that most people have. And it's not the filter. Everybody thinks Dave doesn't have a filter. I've got a filter. I've got children. Of course I've got a filter. I don't stand by and allow nonsense to happen. I don't allow people to get away with the things that they feel are acceptable because no one's ever challenged them on that. When you've got radio corporations sitting there talking about that they want to do ass brackets for March Madness and put black women's behinds on display so that other people can vote for them, and they wouldn't do it on the pop station, which is majority white, that's exploitation of black women. And no, I'm not going to stand by for that. I'm not going to allow folks to think that that's okay. A lot of us lay down and give up our morals, but are the first people to sit around and put on a hashtag, throw on a hoodie, march in a circle, and sing Kumbaya. But when it comes time to stand up, nah. So no, I don't play well with us if it means allowing other people to marginalize me or my people. It's just something I'm not going to do.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I don't think you play well with people who aren't even trying to marginalize you, though. I mean,
here's the thing.
And I don't think you do it intentionally, right? I just think that's just who you are to a certain degree.
Here's the thing, bro. I'm going to tell you what George Bush said in his last interview as president. History will be kinder to me than you are. Meaning that when you look at my receipts and you look at my track record and you look at the things that I've called over the course of several years, got a lot more rights than I do wrongs. So I'm okay with being that person. I'm okay. I left an entire industry that I grew up in.
So let me tie this all into depression. Were you not being yourself when you were on radio and when you got
I was absolutely being myself. I was
going to ask though, did that kind of lead to the depression or one of your depressions?
Yes, and I'll explain it to you. I'm always going to be me, no matter what the cost, no matter who's in the room. I don't care who you are. You bleed like me, you pee like me, you pay bills like me, whatever. The problem became when I wanted to do more that went beyond the scope of what they wanted me to be.
So they wanted to put a glass ceiling.
That's where the conflict happens. I had an opportunity to round out a week of book signings from very well-known Black authors. It was like Hill Harper, Bill Cosby. This is years ago. Michael Baisden, Steve Harvey, and then me. And they wanted me to do a car lot appearance. I'm not going to do a car lot appearance when I'm trying to sell books.
Now explain to the audience what a car lot appearance is.
A car lot appearance is when you have a radio personality stand with a couple of pizzas and some CDs and some T-shirts and tell you to come out to Pinkley Tourist to get the new, Ford Fusion. No like that, especially something, above, $5,000 where they're just going to, radio stations here, they're going to come take your pizza and go on and go about their business. But radio personalities are asked to do personal appearances, and I always did them. But in my contract, I had the right of refusal. And so I refused and I took my behind to Harlem, and I realized that they didn't have an issue with some of my colleagues going on tour with rappers or, talking nonsense or hanging out at strip clubs, but they wanted me, instead of actually doing something that's going to help young people and create businesses and foster growth, they wanted me to sit around for 3 hours at a car lot. Nah. Or when I'm sitting in a corporate office and white people are telling me, you know what? You don't sound like you're from the hood. You are saying K104. We need you to say K104. Like I'm Howard Stern and they're talking about WNBC. That in and of itself is problematic because you want me to play into a stereotype.
They wanted you to black it up.
Yeah, they want me to, whatever that is.
Right.
Because the perception of the hip hop culture was created by Jewish people, not by Black people. So when you look at what they wanted me to do, they wanted me to put on modern day blackface, and no, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, that's cool. If other people want to make their money that way, by all means, knock yourself out. But for me and mine, so I built an infrastructure around myself. And the same people that rejected me are the same people who are singing my praises.
But when you were there, right, and you were depressed, because I really want to dig through that because I know a lot of people are going.
I was depressed because I was constantly being stifled. I was constantly being hemmed. I was constantly being dealt with in a way that wasn't conducive to growth. When you know what you have and you don't have any allies, that in and of itself is depressing. When there's nobody who can relate to your situation, it causes you to a certain level to snap.
Right. Well, I get it. I mean,
Kanye snapped.
Yeah, but I also think Kanye has some other mental health issues that weren't addressed.
Absolutely. And all of them, like I said, varying degrees.
Yeah. And mental health is just something that as a culture, we don't give enough attention to. And that's why
it's not prayed away.
Exactly. And that's why I really want to talk about this tonight, because, you shared stories about you being homeless. You shared stories about, not having money and figuring out how to sell and basically learning how to sell, taking your God-given gifts, talents, and abilities and using them to sell and getting yourself into a better position in life in terms of money.
Right.
So let's do this. Mm-hmm. When did you start in radio?
I started in radio in October of 1987.
Okay. And how old were you?
9.
So you started in radio as 9. So I'm guessing you were the business bully back then too.
Not quite, but the reason I got the job,
bully at least, right?
Yeah, the reason I got the job was that I had called into this show that was focused on children, and Curly Neal from the Harlem Globetrotters was there, and they were asking for callers. So I called in, and I was asking him questions the same way you see me interview people. So I was doing that at 9, and when I hung up, off the air, he told the producer, like, yo, y'all need to hire that kid. That kid is great. And 3 days later, that was it. At a job, Curly Neal, Harlem Globetrotters. He's the reason I'm sitting here.
Well, always got to pay homage to those that came before us, right?
Amen.
So, all right, 9 years old, got on radio. What were you doing? Yep. Were you getting coffee or were you doing mic drops? What were you doing at 9?
I was co-hosting a show.
You were actually co-hosting a show? With radio breaks, commercial breaks, callers, the whole
schmear.
No coaching, or were you?
You're constantly. I'm 9 years old. Of course, I'm in coaching. I was co-hosting a show with a seasoned adult, But it's always so mind blowing to people. Like I always get hey, did you get coffee? Like what were you doing? And I'm like, the Olsen twins had the #1 show on television, and they were still crapping in their diapers.
It's not mind blowing to me, but it's not about me. I want people to understand what you were doing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where, my schedule was get up, go to school, go down to the radio station. My mom would pick me up. I'd go home, do my homework, eat my dinner, go to bed, get up, do it all over again.
Gotcha.
And that's what I did up until 10th grade. And in 10th grade, that's when TV came calling. So I did TV for a little bit and, kind of chilled. I enjoyed TV, but after a while, I never felt comfortable, because I was a chubby kid and TV adds 10 pounds. And I was insecure and I didn't relate. You go to Martin Luther King High School in Philadelphia, which is one of the roughest schools in the nation.
Yes, it is.
And you're fighting every other day. You're dealing with teachers who love you because you're in the newspaper, you're in a magazine, and then their kids see you on TV. So it's like, hey, sign this. So now it's you think you're better than this, we gonna fight.
Right.
So that and then I used to dread like, oh God, please don't let anybody see the newspaper. Please don't let them. Like it was that kind of thing. And I think if I were to be honest, that was probably that period of my life. My teenage years was probably my second bout with depression. Because I was in a situation surrounded by people who didn't get what I was doing, couldn't understand it, and damn sure didn't appreciate it.
Right.
And the teachers don't care because they're like, oh, just ignore them. And it's easy to tell a kid to ignore that when you get to go home and live your best life.
Right. Right. They're not dealing with it.
They're not dealing with it. So that in and of itself became a thing. And so I decided that I was going to kind of chill. So I was happy that my show got canceled, which was just like, for me, it was like a relief. So I got to be normal. I ran for class president and won, graduated, wound up at Temple.
For the record, running for class president is not normal. Everybody doesn't. It's not normal.
No, everybody doesn't become class president, but participating in school activities versus flying to Hollywood to the premiere of MC Hammer's cartoon, completely different levels of things to do. So, for me, that was normalcy. And then, when I got to college, I really got into who I was. I really learned about who I was at that point, and I think college was like probably one of the periods of my life where I was happy, like completely happy, because I got to be me. I got to promote parties. I got to hang out with folks. I got to meet people. I met my wife on campus. Like life was good, but when you go through so much, man, you have all these high highs and low lows, and then I jump back in the radio. So I'm trying to do all of these different things, but it comes in through.
I saw that you were a RA at Temple.
I was.
What was that like?
High highs and low lows. It was great. Yeah,
I got receipts. I didn't do my homework.
Oh, it ain't hard. It ain't hard to dig up. It was high highs and low lows, man. You got people who you're able to impact, and you got people that you're not able to impact. You get a corner room, you get that room and board, which is amazing. You get a little bit of a book stipend, which only helped a little bit. And so for me, it was a godsend from a financial perspective because I had just gone, my father had been put in hospice care. I was 17, my father put in care. My mother was working in the Philadelphia school district, so you can imagine the amounts of money my mother was making. My brother just got out of college, so she had 1 year off before the other boy goes in. And so I knew at that point that I had to pay for school. So I took out loans. I became an RA. I was cutting hair. I was writing papers for money. I was hustling, and I didn't realize that at the time I was selling. So it was a lot, man, when I look back at it, and then I hopped back in the radio.
What made you hop back in the radio?
I hopped back in the radio because I was doing communications, and I know I needed an internship, and I knew radio. So I said, well, I'll just go ahead and I've been off for a couple of years, but I'll go ahead and do the internship situation. Get this bird course out the way. And I did. I wound up at Radio 1. Radio 1 had just started in Philadelphia.
103.9 The Beat.
Yeah. So I wound up supposed to get an internship with the morning show, and the producer for some reason just wouldn't call me back after I was given a letter of intent, the whole nine. So I wound up in promotions and then still found my way on that morning show. 3 months later, I was producing that morning show. So, I just dive into things. And I think a lot of times we worry about our limits, and I never stopped to realize that there was such a thing.
But when you got to the beat, right, and that's kind of the urban radio for people who don't know, who are not from Philadelphia. That's urban radio here. It's like the number 2 slot. Kind of been the number 2 slot for a while.
Right.
You worked there for a while, and then I believe you started working with Wendy Williams at some point, right? Or was that Power?
Well, I'm getting there. What happened was the morning show wound up getting, we had just gotten voted one of the best morning shows in America by the Jenny Jones show. So we were all in Chicago. The entire morning show was in Chicago on the stage. And you remember those 2-way pagers? Mm-hmm. All our pagers are going off like we're being replaced by Russ Parr. So we left. We bolted out of Jenny Jones. We drive to Maryland. They're like, oh no, that's not. We'd never do that to you guys. We love you guys. And then 2 weeks later, Russ was on. And so our last show, they would not let us say goodbye. So I left. I told everybody on the air how much I loved the team. And then I went and I did my final. I did my intro to radio final, ironically. And then once I was done with that final, I got the call and I went down to the Gallery Mall, and me and D. Lee were on. We were on with Golden Boy.
Shout out to D. Lee.
Shout out to D. Lee. It's D. Lee. Yeah, man. So that's what it was, man. But D made that transition happen for us, and he brought me with him, and then we hung out until Carter and Sanborn left, and it was the D. Lee and Wendy show. And I got after a while, I got lovingly fired by Wendy, and what she said was, "You got too much ambition." She was like, "Everybody here is trying to hold on to their slot. They're never going to let you move." And I was like, so what am I supposed to do? She said, listen, you'll figure it out. She said, I spent a good while in the U.S. Virgin Islands making $25 an hour. I mean, $25 a week. So if I can survive that and be great, you'll be just fine. Like, you saw what I went through in New York. So, I can survive anything. You can survive anything. And so I left, still felt like that was a crock of crap at the time because I was too young to get what she was trying to give me. And so I called Russ Parr. And Russ Parr said, well, kid, I'm going to ask you one question. I said, what? He said, are you willing to move? And I said, Well, yeah, I'm wiping tears because, like, I felt like I lost this gig after losing a gig, getting another gig, and now it's like, what am I going to do? He was like, if you're willing to move, give me 20 minutes. And 15 minutes later, he was like, go to the airport. You're going to Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I went to North Carolina on the strength of Russ Parr, interviewed, got the job, did afternoons, and then I traipsed all over the country.
Okay, so you went to you said Fayetteville, right? Fayetteville,
North Carolina, yeah.
And is that still under Clear Channel, or was it iHeart at the point?
It's under Beasley.
Oh, under Beasley. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Beasley used to own DAS as well.
Right. Yeah. I forget about Beasley at times. They've kind of not been in the picture for a while. I know they have some stuff in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just did a bad job of innovation.
Yeah. Well, that's most old dogs. So, Right. Okay. So you went to Fayetteville. You traipsed all over the country. Then what happened?
I wound up in Nashville.
Okay.
Several stints, in different places. I bounced around up and down the dial, like I'm KRP in Cincinnati. I went to Nashville, and I'm in Nashville doing well.
I don't think people know about KRP in Cincinnati, man. You showing our age.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, when I got in the radio, like that was my thought. I was going to be Venus Flytrap, was a character played by Tim Reed because he's a black dude on the radio, and he was cool as hell. But I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm killing it. One of my best friends gets a record deal with 50 Cent. So, life is good. Like everything's popping. And the next thing I know, boom, they flip format for a sports station. So here I am again.
Well, wait a minute. You just said so. You said one of your best friends got a record deal with 50 Cent.
Yeah, Young Buck.
And that's where I was going. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, Buck, Buck was a real cool cat, man, and Buck was really connected. And when you're in the industry, especially in certain areas of the country, you need a certain level of credibility and
to move.
I don't want to use the word protection.
Right.
But you need some understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. You need some relationships.
And so he provided a lot of relationships that allowed me to live, to eat, and to move very well. To this day, I can walk around Nashville and not have to worry about anything, even if I didn't have a dime in my pocket. But that's the reality of the industry that nobody talks about. And that in and of itself is crazy. When you've got, people who want to have their record on and they come into the radio station with guns, and like there's so much that happens. Like that in and of itself
is crazy
and depressing.
Right. Right.
I just want to play records.
So you weren't prepared for all the politics of the radio/record business.
I wasn't prepared for the politics of the radio/record business. I wasn't prepared for the street politics.
Yes.
And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. There's a lot of people who got record deals that and are in, certain positions that have to, play ball.
Right.
So you lose a bit of autonomy with that. Yet another issue.
Right.
So they changed the format to a sports talk station, and I was like, okay, what the heck am I going to do now? And there was a station in Texas that had just signed on in Austin, and they were looking for someone to be in programming. And I sent in my tape, and the guy says to me, he says, well, listen, man, I like what you got. He was like, do you know why I'm hiring you? I said, because I'm good. He said, yeah, you're good, but that's not why I'm hiring you. I said, well, why are you hiring me? He says, I'm hiring you because you're not an issue boy. I said, a what? This white man talking to me. He's like, you're not an issue boy. He was like, listen to these tapes. And every tape I heard was like, 93.7 Jams, it's your boy. Such, it's your boy. And I was never an issue boy. Like, that was never my thing.
It's so funny, though. That's like cliche black radio.
Yeah, but that's what it, but I mean, listen to radio. It's all the same. Damn near every woman's a diva. Every dude is this your boy. Everybody's following me on Instagram. It's not about creativity anymore. Nobody's doing bits. Everybody's too cool for the room. Cats who play records and are doing time and temp think that they're artists. Right. And their name is not Chris Bridges. And so the industry in and of itself does not want talent. They want people who are just going to maintain the status quo.
So what's the timeline we're talking about from the time that you were on with Dee and Wendy to the time you're now in Austin?
5 years, maybe 6.
So okay, so it took you 5 years to get to Austin, bouncing up and down
Yep.
radio stations, which is
Yep.
notorious for being in the radio industry. They'll ship you off in a heartbeat on a
Yep.
midnight train to Georgia somewhere. So okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's 5 years, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're in Austin. And so from Austin,
Mm-hmm.
how did that go, and where did it take you to next?
Austin was great. I was programming. I had a certain level of autonomy. My operations manager taught me a lot. Like he was definitely giving me the keys to the kingdom. It was hectic because I was the only black guy on a hip hop station, which was 90% Mexican.
And for those who don't know what programming is basically programming, but you're picking the songs, you're deciding the commercial slots, things like that. I know everybody doesn't necessarily get the radio industry, and there's different levels of head programmer. Usually, a lot of times at radio stations, the programming director kind of runs the shots on the radio side, and then you have a operations manager or business manager who runs it on the other side, just to give everybody a clear understanding.
Give them the breakdown.
Yeah.
So at that point, Entercom had come in because I was working for CBS. So Entercom had come in and they bought the radio station. And I looked at my colleagues and I looked at my staff. I said, listen, they don't know what to do with a hip hop station. I'm like, if I were y'all, I'd get your tapes together. And they're like, oh man, you crazy. They promised. I said, they're lying. And by the time you could say sale, I had signed a contract with K104 in Dallas.
Okay. So now we left Austin. Now we're in Dallas.
Yep. So we're in Dallas, October 2006. Jeez. So I'm in Dallas. I'm at K104, doing very well, helping out the morning show, doing late nights myself, and that's when the whole "you got to say faux" thing came into play. I wasn't hood enough. I'm like, my people from Richard Island, like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Again, for those who don't know, watching Richard Allen is a notorious housing project in Philadelphia, in North Philadelphia. And so that's like, the epitome of hood.
Right. Like, I went to Martin Luther King High School. Bruh, stop. So to me, it was like, it made me see that they don't, the powers that be don't necessarily have the respect. Even if you got the numbers, there was a cluster, and there were folks who were making, $1 million a year and they were in 15th place, but they were white. That was depressing because when you're breaking your behind and you're doing the right things and you're in the community and you're bringing in the numbers and your paycheck doesn't reflect that, like you're making slightly more than a Burger King manager. No diss to Burger King managers. It's just an example. That was like, wow.
So, I mean, did that have anything to do with the advertising dollars that were being brought in? I mean, that $1 million guy, were they bringing in more advertisement dollars on that station?
Yeah. That morning show was. I'm not even gonna hold you on that. That morning show definitely was bringing in more ad dollars. But here's the thing: I sat down when I was in. Just to go back a little bit, when I was in Tennessee, right? The station was in 14th place. I hovered between 1, 2, and 3 at night. And in Nashville, Country Music City, that's saying something.
That's saying a lot.
Right.
You're playing hip hop, right?
Yes. Real hip hop.
That says a lot.
Right. So we killing it. We doing bits. We doing live broadcasts. I'm messing with the competition across the street. We doing WWE style stuff in the way that we were talking about each other, but we was cool off the air. So anyhow, they hired a new sales manager and he brought me and he said, I wanted to sit down with you. I said, why? He said, I need to talk to you about what's about to happen. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you're 90 days out. Now, for those of you who don't know what 90 days out means, that means when your contract is about 90 days before it's up, that's the time you start renegotiating a new contract. So new payment, new terms, and you're looking to try and do better for yourself, obviously. So he said to me, he said, do you know what this is? And he holds up the advertising schedule. I said, yeah, it's the advertising schedule. He said, go to your show. I said, yeah. And so I go to my show and he was like, how many commercials are in a commercial break? I said, 5. He said, do you ever have less than 5? I said, no, I'm always sold out. What are you talking about? He was like, do you know what the morning show gets, charges for a commercial? I said, no. He said, they get $60. $60 a slot for the morning show. He said, do you know what we charge for your show? I said, no. He said, $500 for a 60-second spot.
Cha-ching.
He said, basically, you're pulling in about $25K a night for this company. And he said, you're barely making, 10% of what we're getting. He said, you're closer to about 3.5%.
Right.
He was like, kid, you're keeping the lights on, and they try to act like you're not. He was like, don't worry about the other day parts. I'm talking about you. He was like, understand that without you, because they're playing the same music all day. So the only anomaly is you. And sometimes when you serve stuff up, they want to make sure that you diminish your time. I said, why are you telling me this? He was like, you can't figure out why an old white man is trying to tell you that. I said, no. He said, because you're winning with white people. And white people want what's real, and you're real. And you're doing things that they're not used to. And he said, never forget the money. Always follow the money. And that stuck with me. And that man did me a favor. And so when you fast forward through my situation, I began to realize and take stock in my value. And, I know plenty of people in the industry who did the same thing. And when they didn't get their value, they took their ball and they go home, and I think you should. And I mean, 60% of people in America never asked for a raise.
Right.
In their entire career, 60%. That tells you that there's some conditioning going on. That's not just entertainment. That's everyday, regular, cubicle, office, corporate America.
Yep.
That's conditioning, bro.
Did you go back and renegotiate your contract when you were 90 days out?
I sure did.
So how much of a bump did you get?
None. I was told, signer will fire you. And I signed it.
Why did you sign it?
Because I knew I wasn't going to be there. Because at that point, I realized that they didn't want me. So I started sending out tapes.
And so tapes, tell people what tapes are.
Okay, so that's a demo. So basically you have a demo that basically highlights what you do on an average day, bits, interviews, the ability to showcase what you do, and what you could bring to another radio station, to another broadcast property. And so I started sending out tapes to all different types of companies. I would send tapes to pizza places around the corner from radio stations. I would send huge boxes. I sent Ebro literally like a 10-foot box. And in that box had balloons and stuff. And then when he opened it up, the package rose out of the thing. Like, I wasn't playing.
So wait. I mean, that's straight sales. I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but that's straight sales 101 right there. Attention to get to open the package. I mean, that's a direct mail market. That's direct mail marketing 101 right there. Get attention.
I never even looked at it like that. I just knew I wanted to stand out. Like, I was like, let me come up with a direct mail market. No, it wasn't that. It was like, I need him to listen to this, because if he hears this, he gonna understand that I'm what that is.
Okay.
All right. And so that's what it is. Obviously, I never made it to Hot 97 except for as a guest.
Hey, that's a great accomplishment in and of itself.
Let me come up with facts.
Yeah.
But I think that, for me, I always wanted something. There was something like, I can't describe it. I feel like being an entrepreneur is like, and not doing it is like having something that's just itching in the back of your soul, and you can't reach it no matter how hard you scratch. And so there was always something missing.
You were itching the whole time?
Yeah.
From Philly to Fayetteville to Nashville to Austin to Dallas.
Tennessee. Yeah. I think I was, but I didn't know what it was. I thought in my head was I wanted to be a star, and that's what I was focused on. Like, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to be the next Tom Joyner. Like, that was my whole goal, but that wasn't it, because even when we took Rickey into syndication, I was still like,
okay, so you brought it up. So you also worked with Rickey Smiley.
I did.
So I guess at some point you left. Wait a minute, is Rickey in Dallas or is he in Atlanta?
He's in Atlanta now.
Okay.
We were in Dallas.
So did you meet Rickey Smiley, the famous comedian / radio entertainer? Did you meet him while you were on the same station in Dallas, or did you switch? How did that happen? Okay,
I met Rickey Smiley in Fayetteville, North Carolina in the year 2000.
Okay.
I was doing stand-up, D. Lee's fault. So
you did stay. I can see it. I just didn't know about it.
You've never seen me do stand-up?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, there are definitely elements of stand-up when you present. So
yeah, but no, like, you've never seen me just do a regular set.
No.
No, man. I was I was a warm-up comedian in the Laugh House for years. like all through college.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. D was coaching me, taught me how to, how to tell jokes. Like every weekend I was getting, a master class in comedy. So when I left and went to Fayetteville, I try to jump on stages. I'd drive to Raleigh, and hop on stages there. Like, I'd go down South Carolina and hop on a stage there. For me, it was just something to do because again, I'm thinking that I'm going to be a star. I gotta focus on doing, whatever a star does. And I met Rickey Smiley because they were doing a show in Fayetteville. There's no comedy club at the time in Fayetteville, even though it's an Army base. You got Fort Bragg right there. And so Rickey was like, I've seen you before. And I was like, yeah. So I said, I performed at the Laugh House. I used to be a warmer comedian. He was like, you doing any rooms out here? I was like, no, they don't, and even if I could, like even for your show, even though the station is sponsoring it, they won't let me perform. He said, this is my show. I'll pay you out of my pocket, but you're going up. And Rickey Smiley paid me out of his pocket. And I think I did like 10, 15 minutes, And so you fast forward, 6 years later, I didn't have a non-compete at K104. So when they let me go, after, helping their morning show, understanding its structure, knowing where its weaknesses were, I went right across the street. And the only reason I got that job was because Doug Banks put in a phone call, said, yo, run your tape to Radio 1. So I went down to Radio 1 with a boombox.
You did the LL on them?
I sure box.
For those who don't know, go watch Crush Groove.
Go watch Crush Groove. And, the dude holding the box is Cut Creator, who was actually my head of mixing when I was in Austin.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So, anyway, yeah, it's a lot, man. Like if I didn't live my life, I wouldn't believe it. When I tell it, it's like, damn, I did that too. But yeah, so I get down there, they hire me to do production and they said, we're going to have you help out the morning show. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm doing things, I'm putting stuff in place. Their producer at the time, who's ironically their producer now, was running back and forth, kind of, not doing everything that was necessary to get where we needed to go. And so I just kept working and kept grinding and kept showing up and, was going above and beyond with recorded promos, getting folks whatever they needed. And then, he wound up leaving and I wound up taking that gig. And then we took Rickey into 30 markets.
30 big markets, 30 small markets. What are we talking about?
Oh, it's a hodgepodge. We had Atlanta, we had Detroit, we had St. Louis, we had, Augusta, we had Birmingham. We had a crap ton of markets. We grew very quickly. We had Atlanta, so we had Dallas. So we were moving. It was picking up pace, and it took a lot. It took a real lot because, Rickey had gone through, I think, 6 producers before I had been there. He'd been through 4 or 5 co-hosts. We brought Ebony up from Alabama. We had, put things in place. And so I would do all the demos for syndication to get other people to put the show on in their local radio markets, and I would use certain words. Rickey's a superstar comedian. He is iconic. He's, the name, all of those types of things. And then
you were selling.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we had an interview, we made sure that we gave that interview enough controversy. Like, we called Usher's wife Beastman on the air. And then I sent that audio to Fred for media takeout. So Rickey got the front page of media takeout like 3 or 4 times. Usher's people got mad, but we came to an understanding. And then we did a pilot for for an early version of what you now know as Rickey Smiley for Real, which you can catch on my YouTube channel. So we were doing things that were different, and then we had a chat room. So the show's rolling and rocking and rolling. We're picking up steam. We're killing these markets. We get Baltimore. I think Baltimore was the last big market I got. I think that was number 30. And I get a call from Rickey at 3:00 in the afternoon. And he's like, yo, bro, Alfred Liggins, who owns Radio 1, gave me a call today. And I said, well, what's up? What did he want? He was like, it wasn't nothing bad. He wants me to sell him the website for $1 million. And I was like, the website I built? He's like, yeah. He was like, he likes the chat room concept, this, that, and the third. He wants da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, Rickey, don't sell it. And he was like, why not? It's $1 million free and clear. I said, it's not free and clear. He said, what do you mean? I said, Rickey, if he's willing to buy your website for $1 million, how much money is he going to make off of it? And how much of that do you get?
Right.
And until I left, that website remained unsold. A few days after I left, I went on the internet against my better judgment, and I looked, and it was RickeySmileyMorningShow.com, now part of the Black Planet universe. And I was like, but I mean, you can't take away the fact that I created a $1.2 million website. So,
well, at least you got him to get 20% more out the deal, right?
Hey,
everybody, you're watching the Money Hour. We do the Money Hour every Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We talk about business, money, stocks, wealth, taxes, you name it, everything across the board. The whole aim of the show is to help you increase your financial IQ. You know,
yes.
A lot of people in this country don't have financial literacy. So this is one of the venues and ways we are bringing financial literacy to you. And many of us who are in a pursuit of happiness in terms of getting money and wealth go through depression. So that's why we have Dave Anderson on, who I'm regretting his intro now because there's so many things Dave has done that I actually know about. But, you know, man has been on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, Angela Yee, DJ Envy several times, like he mentioned before. He's also been on Hot 97. So the guy is like a living legend. So we are blessed today to have Dave. What's that, Dave? Dave, the business bully Anderson, is in the building. He's telling us a story. So they sell the website, $1.2 billion.
Yep.
Do you still have full autonomy over it, or is it now corporate?
I was going.
Well, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I was going. That deal was done after I left, because I blocked that deal the whole time I was there. Like, nah, because I knew that it was a sucker's bet. It was a fool's errand.
Okay, well, we skipped over that part. So how do you be gone and you just got in the 30 plus markets, I'm guessing, because I'm sure it didn't stop.
I'm trying, like, I've told this story in so many different ways.
And I know.
But I will say this. When in the course of human events, success happens, a wise woman I know named Edith Anderson says to me, success doesn't change you. It makes you exactly who you are. And when you get certain people, because, you know, all the new people want to come around when you're popping. And so people begin to come around. Oh, well, you know, Taz, which is what they call me. Oh, Taz is writing books. Taz is touring. Taz is taking vacations. Taz had bonuses. Taz was living. Taz was doing his job. And so when you hear that, then you have medication that you're not taking. And then you have pressures because you create situations like having the Secret Service come to your job because you threaten the life of the president's mother on the radio, when you are feeling as if you can book studios for when you're on tour and then not show up for those studios and the company has to pay for that. And you have certain dips in certain markets and ratings, and they decide to bring in a consultant, and the consultant says, hey, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that. And you don't want to do any of that. And then it becomes a custody battle between me, my friend and talent, and then the owners of the syndication company. So I'm in the middle between my friend and the powers that be. And the powers that be are like, get him together. And my friend is like, I don't want to be bothered, but I got to do my job.
Right.
My job is to, number one, protect the talent and protect the airwaves. And so what wound up happening was there was a perception, and they wanted me to send certain documents to Rickey regarding what was happening with talent and what was happening with him. And he decided to, in front of the staff, threaten me. And so I told him about himself and advised him that if he really felt that froggy, he could leave Alabama, come up to Dallas, and we can have this conversation face to face, or whatever else he wanted. And so when you're a producer, you take a certain amount of flack from the talent. That's just a part of the job.
Right.
But when you are physically threatening somebody that you can't possibly beat, and you do it because you feel like you're empowered to do so, because now you're a superstar comedian, you're a legend, you're an icon. You know, sometimes Dr. Frankenstein has to remind the monster that it's still a monster. And so we had to bring people in, and we were trying to have conversations. And every time we'd have those conversations, he'd run out the door. And so it got to a point where I still had to focus on the job. Like, he'll get over it. We didn't have blowups, whatever the case may be. I still got 7 other mouths who have other mouths to feed who are on this show. So I got to focus on the integrity of the show. And It got to a point where they said, well, Taz, if he doesn't get his stuff together, then you'll come in here January 5th and it'll be DL Hughley and these nuts, or it'll be Rudy Rush and these nuts. And I thought they were bluffing. So I called Rudy Rush. He was like, no, they called me. So now I'm freaked out because now my friend is about to lose his job, but he's not listening to me. He's not listening to them. And so this fight gave them an opportunity to.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling in the mix of that?
I was hurting. I was angry. I was upset because I broke my back. I sacrificed so much. I couldn't keep anybody happy but my direct boss. And I'm like, I did what I could do for you at my own detriment. Like, I gave you the last quarter of my 20s, young partner. Like, because you're my dude. Like, you paid me out of your pocket to hop on stage for you.
Right.
I'm writing church announcements. I'm developing a reality show. He wanted to do a sitcom. And when I left, he did that sitcom and it flopped. And then after which he got his druthers together and dusted off the reality show, which went number 1 on TV One. But I was upset and I was depressed. And, there were things that weren't being told, and it became this thing, oh, he's difficult to work with. I'm like, yo, this dude threatened me. It's on tape. What are y'all talking about? And so it became a thing, and it's just like, sometimes people won't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And so I was heartbroken because I lost one of my best friends. I couldn't really move in the industry. People who had known me for years, my number didn't change, called a crib, same number, same hood. I was persona non grata. And
why did that happen? Did he make the call and block, or?
All I was told was I got a call from Hurricane Dave, who now runs Radio 1 Atlanta. And I said, what's up? Because I'm thinking it's about, the inauguration. Like, we had just booked hotels and gotten clearance from the administration and the whole 9. So, we're all heading to DC right after Christmas. So I'm thinking it's about that. I wasn't even tripping on this stuff. And I said, what's going on? He was like, we gotta let you go. I said, for what? He was like, bro, the inauguration. I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? He said, bro, I have no legitimate reason to let you go. So you know where this is coming from. So it came from Rickey.
Right.
Rickey's got to live with that. God bless him. I'm just fine. But that was the time. And so for 6 months after that happened, my savings ran out. I lost one of my cars. I lost everything. I wound up homeless. And so I took the belongings I could take. And I.
Now, before you were homeless, you were working. Were you balling out of control while you were working, or were you saving?
No, I was saving, bro. Like, I was saving. I got my credit together. Like, I was doing well. I never had a need to do that I'm balling to impress you type stuff. I never bought a bottle or bought the bar at the club. Like, that wasn't my thing.
Okay.
My vice was an Xbox and some comic book movies. I wasn't on that, be out type of stuff and post up type of. That wasn't my thing.
Right.
So my savings ran out. I made too much money for unemployment, obviously. And everybody thought, when I say everybody, I mean the powers that be in the industry, either I was blackballed or everybody thought that somebody else was going to put me back in a position. Or there were positions that were open, but because I had hit this, impossible stratosphere, nobody wanted me to come down a bit. Even though I was willing to do so, nobody wanted me to come down a bit because they were afraid that when the next syndication property happened. And now let's talk depression for a minute. I was so depressed that I turned down deals with Nick Cannon. I turned down deals with Ray J. I didn't want to work with another celebrity. I was over celebrities. I was over it, because I had literally I mean, what's the word? Like,
You've seen it. I mean, and not just probably working with Rickey. You see how celebrities move.
Yeah, I saw the Monique situation up close. Grand opening, grand closing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I saw Yolanda Adams situation, grand opening, grand closing. You know, and I didn't want no parts of that. I was over it because I saw what that led to. And when you're in, you're in. But when you're out, it's cold. So bundle up. And I was like, I don't want no parts of that. And so my savings dwindled. I made a deal with my apartment complex, so I didn't get an eviction. Paid them off with what little bit I had. Found a job setting appointments for a credit card processing company.
Now, are you married at this point?
Divorcing.
Huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I was divorcing. Not my current wife. It's just,
but clearly, I thought this was the only one, so that's why I was.
Technically, she is the only one, but that's a whole nother hour. That's a whole nother hour show.
Gotcha.
I'll explain that offline. But anyway and anyhow, we went our separate ways. Thank God. Thank you, God. And I was sleeping in my truck and washing up at a quick trip in Arlington, Texas, at 360 and Carrier. That was the intersection. And I was washing up every single day. And then when I got paid, I got myself a gym membership at Planet Fitness
to wash up and take a shower.
And then every Sunday I would get quarters and launder my clothes. And then, I would do that, got off a depressing job. Like, do you know what it's like, going from such a situation where you're dealing with millions of dollars and endorsements and money and access to everything. Just, flying private and having a driver and having 2 cars. And then you're in a place where people are excited because they just got a 35-cent an hour raise. And you're like, this can't be life. And I was so out of it that I can't really tell you much about that time other than that it happened.
How long? Do you know? I remember how long?
Yeah, I was stuck in Dallas, I would say for 3 months without, roof over my head. My mother's not a spring chicken, so I didn't want her to worry. My brother had his own family, so it wasn't like I had a lot of help. My father had died at this point. I was stuck in Dallas. My grandmother was ailing. So it wasn't like there was just bread going around where somebody could come send for me, come get me. It wasn't that. So if it was going to be, it was up to me.
So I'm assuming you felt all alone during that time.
I felt so cold and I felt so alone. And I was like, I'm homeless. And it's different because, like, I never saw a fat homeless person with a haircut before. Like, like when you on your first, couple of days of homeless, it's not like you can go out panhandling because ain't nobody gonna believe you. You too clean. And it's like it was amazing. And then the bad part of it was my truck. My truck was sponsored, so I lost that gig. Sponsors got cut off. Everything. It was just the darkest, most harrowing period of my life.
So what was it that gave you the inspiration to push through, the hope to push through?
It was an accident. Michael Jackson had just died and the BET Awards had come on that weekend. And at the time I was just, I'd blog on Facebook. I wouldn't tell anybody, hey, I'm homeless. I need help. Send me money. I had too much pride, or I was too numb to even think about that possibility. Probably a combination of both, if I'm being 100% honest. And I wrote a scathing top 10 list called the top 10 reasons the BET Awards made me want to vomit. So I go to this crappy job that I'm going to, setting appointments for this credit card processing company. And I'm getting all these texts and messages, and I wasn't paying it no attention. I'm like, I'm working, whatever. So on my lunch break, I look at my phone, and it's like, you got 4,000 friend requests. I'm like, that's got to be a glitch, whatever. So I'm getting a call from one of my homeboys who I used to work with at the radio station Dallas. He was like, yo, you're in the LA Times. I was like, that's it. So I go online, look at the LA Times. It's like, yeah, Dave Anderson says the BET Awards made him want to vomit, and he equated it to, the visual version of swine flu. And I was like, one of my homeboys used to work with, Like I was like, holy shit! Like it was just I was like, yo, I could do something with this internet thing. Like I could really do something, you know. And so I was still stacking my bread, you know. At this particular point,
well, how were you stacking bread? You were working at this job, the 35 cents an hour raise job.
Well, I didn't have any rent to pay.
Okay.
I didn't have much expenses. I got by on the dollar menu. I bought a bar of soap. I spent $10 on Planet Fitness or whatever the heck it was. Might not have been some place. I took a shower as a gym. So I didn't have a whole lot of overhead at that point. You know, they didn't have a GPS on my truck, which was at this point well out for repossession. So I was, for the most part, pretty solvent. The only bill I had was my cell phone bill. So I stacked about $1,000. And that was more than enough for me to get on the road, come home, and I stayed at my brother's. I stayed in my brother's garage, which he had retrofitted as a toy room for his 2 children. So I came home and I started working.
So where did you work at when you got back to Philly?
I wasn't doing anything at that point. I was hooked up with Rickey Anderson, who is Monique's agent. And he had this thing called the Black Broadcasting Network, and we had signed a deal. We were going to do a TV show. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out. I don't remember why. You know, depression will block out certain parts of your brain.
Right.
And that's hard for people to understand that they've never been depressed. But yeah, so it wound up not happening. I took a job. I think I was working at an unemployment office doing security. It just didn't work out. Yeah. I was like a career link in Germantown or something, doing security. And I was still like on Twitter all the time, busting it up, hitting the front page of Twitter when something happened. Like it was just, this is Twitter's infancy.
Right.
So I'm killing it. And so I get a call from a guy named Ken Johnson. He was like, look, I want you to come in. I got some questions for you. Just come to the radio station. We'll talk to you. I was like, all right, whatever. I got nothing to lose. I'm doing the top flight security of the world. So I go and I talk to him, and there's like 10 people sitting around like, hey, have you ever worked here before? I said, yeah, I worked here in like 2000. I'm like, well, who'd you work with? I was like, I worked with Dealey and I worked with Wendy. And they were like, huh. So how did you do this? And I'm like, well, for that, you're going to have to pay me. They're asking me social media questions they didn't understand. And so I became Clear Channel's first director of social media, black or white.
Okay, so you got a job back with Clear Channel.
Yep. So now I'm back in the gig for the last time.
Not on air, though, just handling social media for them.
I was handling social media, and then I would do interviews for the web. You know, so they gave, like I had a sponsorship with FlipCam. So I was doing FlipCam.
Wow. That's way back.
Way back. Talking 10 years ago. You know, so I had a deal with FlipCam, and so we had this thing, and I would, you know, interview celebrities, and you know, then they built the iHeartRadio lounge on the inside. So I would start doing interviews there with the digital team, and those went out streaming. And then I would fill in for whatever talent was. So if Miss Jones took off, I was doing mornings. If Shamara took off, I was doing middays, so on and so forth. I did every shift on that station.
Okay.
A part-time, you know, filling capacity, but I was full-time as director of social media.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, for me, I was enjoying it until those things that I already brought up, you know, had happened. The whole, you know, don't do this, can't do that, don't do a book signing, go do the car lot. That kind of stuff.
Basically put their priorities above yours, even though. And
they hated the fact that I had a podcast, even though the podcast was the thing that got me in the door.
Right.
You know, it was like, it's too much of a gray area. You're either on the radio or you're on the internet. You can't do both.
And it's funny how, you know, they fought with that, and many of them still fight with that to this day. It's crazy how that whole thing is going down.
Well, I told you the same thing I said on my first appearance at the Breakfast Club. They don't mind celebrity as long as you're not being made a celebrity on their time. You know, I can do what I like. I do more radio now than I did when I was full time. You see what I'm saying? If I had to leave in order to get what I was getting. You know, Charlemagne is special because he came from Wendy. Angela is special because she came from Satellite.
Right. You know, and Envy. Envy was on Satellite too.
Envy was on Satellite. Envy had mixtapes.
Yep.
You know, Envy's had record deals. They're special. They're not regular talent. You can't name me a whole lot of regular talent that is doing anything
well.
major.
Right.
Kyle Santillan is, Kendra G is, but they're still in Chicago. Will they ever get the syndication out? I don't know. They deserve it. Will they get it? Probably not, because they're regular radio folks. Not only talented, but they want celebrities, and then they treat celebrities the way they should treat jocks.
So you're going through all this up and down, up and down, up and down the road, homeless, back encroaching on your nephew and your niece's play area.
Sure was waking up with Power Rangers and Transformers in unspeakable places.
And then you got a job, but all through that there were like glimmers of brilliance, right? And did you notice them, or was the depression fog too deep, too heavy, too thick?
I had things I didn't even realize. Like my wife and I reconnected. My actual wife, the one I'm married to now, the one who's the mother of my children.
I can't wait to hear that story.
Yes. But we reconnected, and we got ourselves a place, and I was out of my brother's garage, and it was phenomenal. One day she comes home and she said, "Hey babe, I took the Jeep. I didn't take the regular car because I was getting groceries, and I saw this bag in your trunk. What is that bag?" And I'm like, "Nah, you need to leave that right there." She was like, "What is it?" I was like, "Oh, that's my jump bag." She said, "What the hell's a jump bag?" I'm like, "If ever anything happens, if we don't work out, whatever the case may be, I'm going to have everything I need in case I'm ever homeless again. In case I ever got to sleep in that truck again, I'm going to be good." And she looked at me, all 5'3" of her. She grabbed my face and she said, "David."
Oh, she didn't call you Dave. She said David.
No, that's how I knew I was in trouble. She was like, "David."
That was real.
Hands on my face. She was like, "David, get your ass in that Jeep, take that bag out, and we're going to unpack it. You're safe with me. You never got to worry about that. Thick and thin, go to bed."
How did that make you feel?
I was in shock. I felt like I broke down. Like I literally remember walking down those steps, just tears streaming down my face, because I had somebody who, no matter what, no matter how hard it got, no matter how many times I messed up, no matter what I did, she was going to be there for me. And I do my best never to take advantage of that loyalty.
And you felt you were no longer alone, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, I felt like, it was God. And I'm going to tell you how I know it was God. One day I was in my brother's garage before my wife and I hooked up, probably 3 weeks before my wife and I hooked up. And I got up in the middle of the night and something said, "Pray." And I said, "God, let me tell you something. I don't ever want to get married again, but I got a funny feeling that you want me to be married." I said, "If I'm married, I got some conditions." I said, "I want somebody who knew me before I had anything. I want somebody who's going to tell me not what I want to hear, but what I need to hear. I want somebody who's going to support me unconditionally. I want somebody who is going to really, really love me." And I mean love, not love me because I can do something for them, but love me for real.
Right.
And the next day, my best friend from college called me, and she was like, "Yo, I'm in town. I need to see you." And I'm like, "All right, what's up?" She was like, "My birthday's coming up. I got somebody I want you to meet." I'm like, "All right, cool." So we go, and she's introduced me to her fiance. I did not know she'd gotten, engaged or whatever. And she was like, "Look, I'm going up to Michigan to see my sister, because my best friend and my wife are twins." This is God. And I thought that, my wife was off the market, doing whatever. God bless her. I didn't know. And sure enough, it was like no time had passed and we fell in love, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I felt so, I felt so good because I felt like God put us together. Because God gave me absolutely everything that I asked for. Somebody who knew me before I didn't have a damn thing. Somebody who's going to be very honest with me. Somebody who's going to support me and not tell me what I wanted to hear.
Somebody who could bully the bully.
Oh, trust me. She not only bullies me, she motivates me. Like, I'll be like, "Yo, I can't figure this out." And the greatest thing about her is she's an empathy specialist. Because like I didn't have like my whole upbringing was weird. I was 9 years old around a bunch of smoking adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why can't people figure this out? Why don't I? Dave, listen, you got to remember that certain people don't have what you have. So sometimes you got to calm that down and tighten that up and come at people like sometimes you got to hug them before you choke them out. Then choke them out, but explain why you choked them out. And that's what's great about her. She literally has given me a PhD in empathy. And as much as the whole bully thing, is a reality, the bully thing is tongue in cheek because honestly, we live in a society that gives trophies, for people who just show up. So accountability comes across as bullying. That's what's great about her. She literally has given me a PhD in empathy.
I have a retort for that, but I'm going to save that for another day.
Oh, go ahead.
No, because it's going to detract from where I want to go. So
let's go.
The depression.
Mm-hmm.
You found your wife. You found your mate, your soulmate, your partner.
Absolutely.
And it seemed like that was a stabilizing factor for you as well.
Yeah,
so
because
you had all these ups and downs, these disappointments, these letdowns, these betrayals.
Mm-hmm.
And you found someone that really had your back no matter what.
Yep.
And so from there, what happened next?
I got in the worst fight of my life with my wife. For 3 days, we argued. I had built a brand that had a lot of value in it. The Taz Daddy brand had a lot of value in it. And I didn't want to let it go. And she said, you're a grown-ass man. Like, you don't need that anymore. That comes with so much baggage. And that same baggage follows you everywhere. You need to let it go. And on the third day of arguing, I said, you know what? I'm done. I said, fine. I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to give up Taz Daddy. I'm just going to be Dave Anderson. Fine. We'll do it your way. And I'm going to show you how much of a fail this is. And when I do, I don't want to hear another word about it. I'm going to pick up good old Taz Daddy, like the security blanket that it is. I'm going to use it as a cape, and I'm going to go up, up, and away. So I dropped it. The next day, I got a new manager. The day after that, I was on TV as myself.
It's funny how rebranding works.
It's amazing. I'm with that.
And I'm assuming she's not even a brand manager.
Nah, she ought to be. I told my wife a long time ago, like she has a way of putting things where you're like, I'm telling you, this woman can listen. This woman can make the most evil person sound redeemable. Like, my wife has a gift, man. I'd be like, yo, you missed your calling. Like, you should have been in PR. You should be in brand management. Like how do you?
Wife Olivia Pope, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. It's like phenomenal. So, that was the beginning. And then one thing that happened when I was at my last radio gig, the salespeople would constantly ask me to come out on sales calls to close their deals for them. And I was like, And then because I couldn't do anything, like my whole resume was nothing but radio, the only people that would take a risk on me are people who didn't have to pay me. So those are commission-based sales gigs.
Right.
I've been talking to people my whole life. I've been endorsing products my whole life.
You've been selling your whole life.
I've been selling my whole life. I'm sending out packages.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was, though. I didn't call it sales. I just called it being who I was. But that was what I was. It was the part of my soul that I wanted scratch that I couldn't get. And when I got that scratch,
selling your whole life.
And I'm going to be honest with you. The reason that I got that itch scratched, if we're going to be 100% honest, is I got tired. I got tired of being average. I got tired of being raped for my gifts. I got tired of being everybody's best kept secret. I got tired of eating hot dogs. I got tired of being marginalized. I got tired of people who didn't wanted to take and harvest my brilliance, but didn't want to pay me for it.
And so was that the thing? You're tired? What's the saying? A person will stop doing whatever they're doing once they get tired of being tired. So you got tired, and was that the breakthrough for you for depression?
Yes and no. Like, I don't think you ever stop being depressed. You know,
And ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's watching, I'm using depression kind of loosely. I know some people will depict it as chemical imbalances. I am not a therapist. I do not have a degree
right.
in psychology, but I'm talking about where people get into a mental, emotional, spiritual place where they're just down and they can't do anything. And a lot of us find ourselves in that place, the sunken place, to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, just not that part of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I honestly think part of it is chemical. You know, but once I realized that that stuff was going on, man, I came home and I cried, and then I got angry. You know, and not at the world, not at my wife, not at my kids, not at my mama, not at my brother. I got mad at myself because I realized the greatest enemy was the man in the mirror, and I wasn't banking on me. I was cutting myself short. You know, I didn't believe that I was worthy. I didn't back myself up. You know, I didn't believe I could have what I really deserved. I was sabotaging myself with negative thoughts and false feelings, you know, and I just snapped. I just literally snapped and I said, okay, we're gonna fight. No more excuses, no more apologies, no more diminishing my greatness to blend in with mediocrity, no more apologies. You know, I'm gonna start, you know, really harvesting the knowledge and skills I broke my ass to acquire. I know 17 different ways to effectively pack a U-Haul because I move so much. Like I was like, no more, never again. You know, I can't, you know, I don't know about you, but as a father, I can't look my family in the face and tell them in good conscience to go for their dreams if they don't see me going for mine. That's hypocrisy. And I wasn't going to be no hypocrite in front of my kids.
That's real.
You know, and then once I started really appreciating what I had accomplished, not in a braggadocious or arrogant way, but I realized that I'm not going to be auditioning for nobody no more. I'm not sending you no proposal. Look, Google's a snitch. It tells my business. You know, I feel like there's a certain level that people get to that they don't understand what they've done because they've been doing it for so long. And I've been so deep in it, Kamari. I've been so deep in it that I couldn't see. Like, I never stopped to smell the roses. I never appreciated any of it. I was so busy running to the next thing, trying to make the next thing happen, trying to make this person pop or this business money or, you know, I never thought about that being a talent because in my world, I was taught that talent was time and temp and being funny and creating a comedy bit or writing a joke, you know, or doing a stand-up set. I didn't think about talent in other ways. There are people who are talented, you know, with their words. There are people who are talented with allowing people to see their greatness. There are people who are talented with innovation, you know, and I started flooding myself with different things, you know, and that was the key.
So when you say flooding yourself with different things, what do you mean? Were you reading positive, you know, positive books? I can't, you know, Norman Vincent Peale, all those guys. You were reading all that.
I was reading Norman Vincent Peale. I was reading The Measure of a Man. I was reading The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I was
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was listening to Les Brown. I was literally putting and trying to override the programming that had been put in me that told me sit down, shut up, be humble, don't go after it, you know, just go get a good job, go send out another tape, you know, this time don't speak up, don't do that. Like, and I realized that I needed to flood myself with so much positivity and so much reinforcement that I would be able to get rid of that doubt monster that had grown in my head like the Hulk.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's what it is, man. We don't really take time to audit what we're consuming, you know?
That's real.
And so, and that goes for everything from what you eat to what you watch. If you know more about Stevie J's love life than you know what's going on with your kids,
something's wrong.
Something's wrong, you know? And so I realized that I could look at somebody's situation and in 5 to 10 minutes, I could tell them exactly where their holes were, how to make money, how to grow, you know, what they needed to do, where their potential for growth was, certain streams of revenue that I hadn't thought of. And I could just rattle it off the top of my head. And I was like, that's my gift. And I was reading Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success from Steve Harvey. And he was talking about, there's some people who are just gifted at making pies. Like that's their gift. Not everybody's going to be Steve Harvey. And he wasn't saying it arrogantly. He was like, everybody ain't going to be no huge stand-up star.
I think that was a great book, by the way.
It's a phenomenal book. I think everybody should read it, but you have a gift. And once you find out what that gift is, everything then branches off from there.
So it was kind of going through all the peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Hitting rock bottom, bouncing back, seeing those glimmers of brilliance and God at the moments where you were at your lowest, reconnecting with your wife, and then making the decision, the conscious decision that this shit ain't for me. I'm better than this. I'm gonna keep moving.
Yeah, because what happens is you then chase the next thing, and then the next thing becomes the next thing becomes the next thing. And if I'm going to go chase things, I would rather go chase millions than chase somebody's, like a lot of people want to be in the business of convincing another man or another woman that they're worthy of a 3% cost of living increase. Keep your 3%. I give myself a raise every chance I can. You know what I'm saying? When you are like Invictus, I read Invictus and sorry, I'm going to say it again. I broke down crying because it clicked. I just come off of watching Secret, and then I read Invictus. I'm the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. And then I was watching this special with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about, we're carbon-based life forms and everything that is in us.
And in the universe.
And the universe is in us.
Yes.
And I'm like, so if the universe is in us, then let me test this out. Let me see if I can start to move things and bend them to my will.
Now, you are also an ordained reverend, correct? I might not be using. Okay, so how does that? And I might be going a little sideways on this, but I got to ask the question.
No, feel free.
How does that jive with you, with your religious belief and training?
Well, I don't have a religious belief. I have a relational belief.
Okay.
I have a relationship with God, and I don't subscribe to religion because brushing your teeth is a religion. A habit, any type of habit that's done over a period of time is a religion. I have a relationship with God, and my relationship with God is rock solid. So how do I jive?
So you don't necessarily subscribe to what they consider Christianity then?
Christianity, okay, let's examine this for a minute, spiritually speaking.
And I'm asking this because that whole piece with Neil deGrasse Tyson is so anti what most people in the church would say they would say it's not doctrine. They would say it's against God. So
okay.
that's why I'm asking you.
Okay, so let's examine that for a minute. A couple of things. First, let's talk about the term Christian because I don't want to gloss over that. The term Christian came approximately 236 years after the resurrection of Christ.
Don't go too deep.
I'm not. But Christ never once referred to himself as a Christian.
He was a Jew.
He was a Jew. That's why Pilate put, "Here's Jesus, King of the Jews," on the top of his cross. On top of that, Jesus had something called the Way. And Jesus never wanted a church. He wanted an ecclesia, but when they translated the book, they changed ecclesia to church. Church.
What's ecclesia mean?
Ecclesia is a building that is for gathering in the name of God, but it has no doors, so it's always open.
Oh, okay.
That's a little different than a church.
Absolutely.
And so what you have to do, if you go in the Bible says the same thing Neil deGrasse Tyson does, and I'll prove it to you. The Bible says that we were made in God's image. God said, "Let there be light," and then there was. And then he created man from the earth. So if he created man from the earth, and the earth in and of itself is carbon-based, and we are made of the earth. So if we're made of the earth, we are made from something that is in the universe, that is of the universe. So therefore, the universe is in us. And the Holy Spirit is in us. So if the Holy Spirit is in us and God is the creator of the universe would have to be in us, would it not?
Listen, when I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say that, it shook me because I had a mentor, a friend of the family, say the same exact thing to me when I was 17, but I could not comprehend it.
Yeah,
I couldn't comprehend what he was trying to tell me. Is, Kamar, you're great. You're from greatness. You're from creation. go forth and create and do things. Matter of fact, I need to call him now and let him know I finally got it, because he would ask me that question all the time, and he was like, "You still ain't got it."
No, we're carbon-based life forms. So the same stuff that's in diamonds is the same stuff that's in us. The same stuff that powers the sun powers us.
Yep. Carbon, helium, nitrogen, and it's like one or two others. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, how do you separate that from anything else? And so right after I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson, there was an interview with Tavis Smiley and Will Smith.
I know what you're talking about.
And Will Smith was like, the universe doesn't like friction. It wants to get out of your way. So if you decide that you want to do something, the universe will begin to conspire to make that thing happen. And I was like, so I'm literally going to put all this to the test. We going to see. So I literally got up, and I remember I was in bed, and this is, I don't know, 2012 maybe, 2013, somewhere around there. And Mari says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I just bought a website, and so I'm on GoDaddy, and I'm making a website, and literally I'm going to reopen my business, because I had my business before, but there were certain radio companies that didn't like the idea of my business from a consultancy standpoint. And so I kind of buried it, but I'd already had it. So I relaunched. And, once I started getting some clients, it was over with. And then I started attracting the people that I wanted to get on their radar, get in the room with. I literally would focus on those people, Damon John, Gary Vaynerchuk,
So stop. So just for the record, folks, I watched the interview. Dave was there. Not only was he there, he walked away with 15 G's.
Sure did.
And again, just how bad I did my intro today, because that was supposed to be in there. Listen, I'm honest and transparent, so I'm always going to give myself the business. But to your credit, you did a whole build up to that. You made that happen. And I was looking like, why is Dave picking on Gary? And I knew why, but it's not my style, right? So I didn't totally get it. But then when I saw you in the room, basically you just wanted to have a conversation with him.
Of course.
When I saw you in the room, it clicked for me. It made sense. So kudos to you on that one, bro.
Thank you, bro. I believe, like, I'm a huge Rocky fan. I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan. You're a huge WWE Ric Flair fan. Woo! And for me, it was a situation where, honestly, everything I said was absolutely true. People began, especially Black people, began to compare me to this man, and I had no idea who this man was. So I went and bought all his books. I read his stuff. I'm like, okay, kind of see it, but I got a thing that a lot of Black people don't have. I don't want to be anybody's Black derivative. And
I get it.
I was like, nah. So I'm gonna have to see this dude, and I'm gonna have to show folks.
I mean, I get it. Not even from the Black derivative, right? People compare me to Boyce Watkins. I don't.
Why? You're absolutely genuine, and you don't work for a Chinese man.
Listen, we're not going there, bro. Point being is that I can salute him in whatever he's doing and still be me, right? And it doesn't have to be me, or I don't have to be Dave. We can all be great in whatever cipher or circle we're in.
There's enough for everybody. The universe is abundant.
Right.
And, for me, I wanted to show folks that, like, yo, I can hang with this dude. He puts on his pants one leg at a time. He just got a few more million than I got.
Yeah, but I took it at the time as an ego thing, and it wasn't an ego thing.
No.
It was a positioning thing.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I didn't quite get it, right? So sometimes I move a little slow. I'm an analyst by nature, right? So sometimes I need to see how a thing moves before I actually move. And so that's good and bad, just being self-introspective. But I got it when you did it. So again,
history will be kinder to me than you are.
No, I'm not.
Remember I said that earlier in the conversation, because most people didn't get it. Like, oh, leave Gary Vee alone.
Yeah, but I think the difference is, right, because I never want to hate, right? That's never my thing. I'll just say I don't get it, and I won't have, because you brought up something, right? And I think you know me by now. Like, I'm not looking for no smoke, really. If it comes, it comes, but I'm not looking for it. And I give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And I think that's what we all should do. But I will say I'm wrong in a heartbeat. Just like
Absolutely.
I said, I didn't get it, right? I'm just being honest. And
Amen.
then I will follow up and say, kudos, congratulations, thank God, God bless you, whatever else.
Right.
So, I think, that's what it's all about,
No. I wanted to promote that thing like a prize fight because I knew that's what people were expecting. They were expecting a bloodbath. P.T. Barnum, bro, I will tell you, man, I'm every bit P.T. Barnum as I am Steve Jobs, as I am Puff Daddy. There's a show,
right,
in what I do.
And they're all students of P.T. Barnum, by the way.
Exactly. All of them. So what it comes down to is I got to get you in the building. And once I get you in the building, then I got you.
Right.
I got to get you. I can't say, hey, I'm going to go talk business with this guy and I'm going to do this thing for black boys. Because y'all have been like, not you, but just the audience generally been like, so what? I don't get it. So, if I went and called a dude who does the Pacquiao voiceovers and gets him to cut a promo and I put a video up and then, I start, saying, okay, we're day 45 without any word from Gary Vaynerchuk, day 46, like every day is something.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if you've done this yet. You should make that your own case study and put that out. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Wow. God bless you. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sitting there like, why is this dude going to Gary Vee everything? Because I love Gary Vee, right?
Yeah, Gary's great.
Yeah. But my point is again, that's just not me. And so I'm looking at it like, what in the world's going on? But you built it up just like a prize fight. Just like when you got Mayweather and McGregor.
Yeah.
Right? They built that up, even though it wasn't really boxing, it wasn't really mixed or MMA. It was just an event. It was entertainment.
Yeah.
So you took some of the same tenets and you used it for positioning, and that was brilliant.
Absolutely. And there was so much that came from that. And I will say this, that he's another person that, aside from you and very few other people that I can, talk to and count on and say, hey, I'm going through this.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some feedback. And he'll be like, okay, well, Dave, do this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third, and to have that level of relationship, when you got people at Instagram DMing me like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And I'm like, do what?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get an hour out of Gary? I'm like, I asked, and they're like, oh, you had to do something else. And like, to me, I'm not thinking about, boxing posters and promos and live videos and tweets and, hashtag where's Gary V or,
right.
I wasn't like, to me, it was like I black out with certain things. And, that's just, that's how I'm built. And that's what I teach my clients to do, like to really focus on getting what it is that you want to get the desired result. I don't want people to turn into me, but I want them to turn into the actual versions of themselves.
Right. Makes sense. You're just kind of the guide to help the hero to get to the end of the journey.
But I think that that's what a coach is supposed to do.
I agree.
And what happens is in this coach, and that's why 95% of coaches online right now hate me, because I'm not doing the coach's carousel where it's like you're trying to get an answer to a question and you're like, hey, coach, I need the answer. Like, oh, well, you know what? I got another course coming up right after this. It's going to cost you another $1,000. Come get that course.
Yeah, I was just watching somebody do that the other day. Yep.
No.
So, all right, you coach, but you had, and I want to be ultra respectful of your time.
You're fine.
I know you have a new program coming out.
Yes.
It's something different. And when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, it's just a membership group. All right, this is cool. He's doing group coaching. But that's not what it is at all. So tell everybody what you're doing.
All right. So back in the earlier part of the year, I went out to San Jose. And San Jose is the Silicon Valley, and there's not a lot of us out there. And when I was there, I was trying to figure out something that was really important. And when I started looking and doing the data and looking at what my clients were really having struggles with, it was client acquisition. It was getting quality leads and doing it in a way that wasn't going to require, a $15,000 Facebook ad course. And so I got with some folks and I developed a software that is literally lead generation on autopilot. And for those of you who don't understand what lead generation is, that's the ability for someone to take something from you for free in exchange for you giving them your email address. And so what winds up happening is I created a software called Viral Bully. And Viral Bully is literally lead generation on autopilot. It's a one-click situation. Aside from that, what Viral Bully is, it's like a cloud-based software of the month club. So for one low price, as opposed to me, my accountant like literally cussed me out because I spent about $9,000 last year just in software, primarily cloud-based software to build and grow my business, to handle automation and skill sets. So every month you get a brand new cloud-based software for one low price, and you can cancel anytime for the membership. And once you cancel, you still get to keep everything that you've already had, but you don't get any of the new stuff. And you can come back whenever you want, but I'm doing it at a very low introductory price, and then it's going to jump up significantly. But I wanted to level the playing field, because paying $9,000-$10,000 a year in software, trying to grow your business, and then trying to figure it out, because a lot of these softwares have horrible customer service. But we fixed that bug too.
Yeah, tell me about it. Let's go back to Viral Bully though, right? Because you said that's a lead magnet, lead generation kind of thing. Is it CRM? Is it email? Is it both?
It's email. It's email. It's not CRM. So you'd have to plug. You would download the list of the email addresses as they opted into your autoresponder, or into your email marketing software, your CRM, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And so long story very short, if you have a piece of, you could literally go and buy an iPod or an iPad and say that you're going to give that out, or whatever the case may be. Or you can have an ebook or a video course and you can give that out. And in order for people to access whatever your gift is, they have to then share it on different social media platforms. Each media platform comes with a certain level of points. Once they share those points, then they unlock that gift. So now everybody else who also is, going to be doing the same thing is also sharing it. And so you get a viral effect.
So you gamified it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what winds up happening is we ran a case study, and in about the course of a day, we got about 1,350 emails in one day.
But I mean, is that repeatable? I mean, because
absolutely.
So I mean, I probably, just for example purposes, if I can't compete with somebody that's going to give out an iPad, right? So that'll probably generate a lot of lead magnets versus Kamari's, I don't know, ebook or free consultation session or whatever lead magnet I have. So you've tested this out over different type industry people.
I've done it for dentists. I've done it for lawyers. I've done it for financial planners. Stop.
So you've done it for financial people, and how they get in the trial run, the test run? I'm hurt. I'm crying.
Why are you hurt when you know I'm going to give you a copy for free? Stop. So the thing
that doesn't make for fun. You just
I know.
Joke.
I know.
But no, go ahead. Seriously.
The thing of it is, a lot of time it's not the lead magnet. It's how the lead magnet is presented. Hey, get my ebook. No, get this sizzling hot report on the 10 things you need to know in order to save another $13,000 a year. Same thing, different headline. Most people suck at writing headlines. Well, if you make something sexy enough, then it's going to win. And most people don't know how to make things sexy. So we talk about that. We've got a private community to help you back that stuff up. Like, we set you up for success.
Okay. That's very interesting. So you're helping people with headlines too, or just in the community as well?
In the community.
Because copy, using words to sell. What's copy is, folks. And a lot of people don't understand copy and the science behind it. But I just want to say this, and I definitely want to move on. If you really want to understand copy, look at porn. It's
every day.
Yeah, it's very, and I'm not saying that from the sex standpoint, right?
No, just look at the headlines.
I don't want anybody getting aroused when they go over there. Just look at some of the headlines and how and why they do that and why it's intriguing. So Viral Bully, how much is it?
Viral Bully right now is an introductory price. It's $97 per month, to be in the membership, and the software comes with that. So your first software in the membership is the Viral Bully software.
Okay. And so then I get Viral Bully software month 1 or month 0, whatever you want to call it. Right. And then in month two, I get something new, something different, something sexy, something fun.
Cloud-based software that's going to help you grow your business.
Now, do you have them already mapped out? Does it change? So like, do you already have them mapped out?
I have them mapped out, but we release them, as they come, but I have vetted each one of these softwares. A lot of them I've helped code and write, or my partners have, and just from a background standpoint, I was on the team that tried to revamp MySpace when Justin Timberlake took it over. If you've ever heard of Meerkat, before there was Periscope, there was Meerkat. Before there was Meerkat, there was this thing called Hang With. That was also me. And the technology for Hang With was like so amazing, but people just didn't get it. Downloading and being able to upload to YouTube, now that's commonplace. But at the time, like Periscope just came in and killed. So we couldn't, it wasn't a whole lot of room to move. So from a technical standpoint, I've always had my hand in that pot. And I want to create something that demystified tech, especially for our people, because a lot of us have tech aversion based upon user friendliness or lack thereof. And every single software is user friendly. It's extremely easy. And we still have that community to be able to walk you through it, even if you're a complete novice and newbie to the tech space.
Okay.
So yeah, every month it's going to be something, completely dope that you're going to love.
Now, are all the cloud-based softwares that come with this package? It sounds like Audible for cloud-based software.
Absolutely.
You don't get to pick meaning the end user, the consumer. You guys pick on the back end what you're giving out.
Correct. Okay. So, but the good news is there's no upsells, there's no cross sells. You get the fully great unlocked version with all the features. If you go and try and buy cloud-based software, it may be $50, it may be $200, and then they've got another version that they want to upgrade you, and then they want to put you in a community and upgrade you from that. So you turn around, you spent $500, and you still don't know what the heck you're doing.
Gotcha.
We wanted to make sure we kept it simple, and we gave you fully unlocked versions of software that were going to benefit you overall.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Man, we work hard, man. We work hard.
Well, congratulations. Now, tell everybody where they can find it at.
Oh, well, you can go right now to viralbully.com. There's an explainer video there. You can put in your information and you get hooked up. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to set up your account. But other than that, you're rocking and rolling. You're in the community. You're off to the races. And, if you're trying to grow a list and you're trying to, break through, you need your own audience. What happens is, especially with a lot of us, we rely heavily on social media without thinking about the impact of what that means to your business. It's Russian roulette. If you think I'm lying, ask the Shade Room. The Shade Room had 4 million fans, and Zuck said, like Thanos, and they were gone.
I mean, even tonight, right? When we had a problem logging onto the platform on Facebook, which I'm primarily at most of the time, I couldn't do it. And so if you don't have access to your audience, your clients, your friends, your relationships, you don't have a business.
Absolutely. And that becomes a whole nightmare, man. It becomes a whole situation that you can't necessarily, prepare for.
You know what? I do have some other questions for you regarding viral.
You got some time, bro.
Okay. Well, we got some people on. We don't want to keep them too long. Keep them up. I know they got to get up and go to work in the morning.
Oh yeah.
That 30-cent raise time.
Cost of living increase, brother. Cost of living increase.
But you know what? I'm going to bring you on another day because I don't have a problem with jobs, and I know you don't either. But I think it would make for a great discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But all right. But back to Viral Bully, right?
Yes,
is there any limitation to how many emails you can send per month? Can you upload previous list? Is there any flexibility if you can upload previous lists for like I know various other email professionals are always worried about getting spam and spam scores being high and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of I want to tell you this. First of all, it's not a CRM; it's just a lead generation system.
But you said it's email.
It is email, meaning that you're getting email addresses.
Okay, so it's straight lead capture.
It's straight lead capture.
I'm not doing blast emails out. I'm just using it.
No, but you can also hook it up thugh your autoresponder.
Okay.
and just have them automatically transfer in.
Okay.
That's
what I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, so you can definitely do that, and we don't put any caps on anything there.
Okay. All that for $97. Cool.
Yeah, because similar things, are running anywhere from $50 to $80 a month, and they're not it's a constant fee, and then once you stop paying it, it's gone.
Yep.
And I bought one of those softwares, which is nowhere near as sophisticated as Viral Bully, right in time for my first appearance on the Breakfast Club. And I captured a whole lot of emails, but the functionality was clunky. It was a straight learning curve. I'm glad I got into New York 2 days early so I could figure it out. But
yeah, no, I get it. I'm dealing with that now. Well, I'm not going to take up too much of y'all's time. Plus, I am hungry. Time to eat. Thanks for watching the Money Hour, everybody. Listen, go follow Dave. Dave, give everybody your information so they can follow you.
Yeah, Facebook.com/The Business Bully. You can text Business Bully to 31996. That's 2 words, Business Bully to 31996. On Twitter and Twitter and Snapchat, it's DA Business Bully. Everything else is THE Business Bully. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you all for joining us tonight on the Money Hour. Remember, we are here every Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're usually on Facebook, but I'm kind of liking YouTube. It's kind of cool. We got some comments over in the chat section, so I just need to get reacclimated to it. You can join me, or you can find me throughout the week in my community, the Finance Rebel community. That's over on Facebook. It's a free community. My whole mission is to raise the financial IQs of at least 100,000 people. That's my journey. That's my goal. That's my mission. So come on in and join in the community. We can talk about everything money, from stocks to insurance to taxes to business, even. And so come on in. We'll have a good time. But until next Wednesday, I'm Kamari Ellis. You all have a great time, and I will see you later.